Welcome back to a Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and this afternoon I'm joined by Sean Connolly and also Chris McElwain. And we are talking half-time. It's Partick Thistle 0, Celtic 2. Decent first half, Sean. And I think we could all agree that Tuneski's been ripping it up.
Yeah, we've been playing well, pretty broadly. Partick Thistle they've had a couple of half chances. They're really focusing on the counter attack. Obviously, that's their tactics, and it looks like someone's like let the grass grow long or something because the ball's really getting stuck. And we've actually utilised it really well because we've been putting the ball in behind and it's holding up when we put it in behind. So, but we've managed. That's where the first goal comes from. And there's been a couple other occasions where McGregor, Scales in particular, have managed have managed to thread those passes, and the long grass has held it up. It's actually been working against our centre backs. So like as the one where Carter Vickers gets the ball stuck under his feet, and Thistle almost get a chance from it. Scales gets booked because he misreads the bounce of the ball. So it's actually I believe, I would assume that they've done it to try and slow Celtic down and, achieve what has been achieved in parts of the pitch. But it seems to be working against both defences for both Thistle and Celtic, and it's actually making it a bit more chances created at both ends, which is interesting. Normally it'd be the opposite.
Yeah, it's been a really good first half to watch. I mean, we're going to be focusing on the positives, of course we are. The one slight negative, the one slight worry, of course, has been covered by Sean there, Chris. We have been slack at the back a few times, which is a bit worrying. Maybe it's the long grass. There's a few concerns coming through in relation to Carter Vickers. We'll get to all that, but let's start with the positive. And I want to start by giving everybody a shout out who took part in arranging, organising and participating in the protest. It was really well done. And the commentary team spent a bit of time talking about it as well. And to be fair to him, Michael Stewart basically said this isn't going to go away. This is a long-term thing. The Celtic fans have come together. Fair play. Not sure who briefed Michael about that, but that was a positive straight off the bat. I thought the Celtic fans were outstanding all the way through that first half, Chris.
As they always are. Right, I just think everybody knows my opinion on our fellow fans. I think they're the best in the world, and I'm loving the unity that we're seeing in terms of this protest. And people have different opinions on it, and that's fair enough. I think there's been a lot of respect amongst the Celtic fans about those who want to choose to support the team the way they see fit, and I think that's fine. But this movement is gaining momentum. And one of the big positives, which is slightly separate to the match today, but I think you're seeing evidence in terms of the action taken, is that there's structure behind this now. And I go back to what Jim said, he said quite consistently around Jim Orr. He has said, look, the protest as an action is fine, but it's only going to be effective if you have the structure behind it and the organisation behind it, and you have a clear plan and a clear vision in terms of what you want to achieve with it. And I think we're starting to see evidence of that. Look, protests can sometimes be uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable to watch, particularly when the camera pans on certain individuals that may be targeted as part of the protest.
Were they in their own wee WhatsApp group there?
Possibly. Yeah. I think maybe just a message come up saying, right, everybody head down, eyes down, or something. Just to
putting their orders in for their half-time drinks, I think.
Yeah, possibly for 45 minutes. But I think there was an interesting point. You referenced Michael Stewart there, and I've liked a lot of what he's had to say in that first half. And when we talk about the positives, we talk about Tunekti, right? And I thought he made a really good point after we saw some really positive work from Tunekti. And he said, "There's no way that we would not have been in a much better position against Kairat had we had Tunekti in early, right?" And it's a fact, right? And that goes some way towards explaining the frustration. Look, we all expected us to beat Kairat, right? We see the good performances and the good players and the quality that we've got, but we knew we needed reinforcements, particularly creatively, particularly in the wing. This young lad's come in and he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do in his press conference. He's got us all sitting up and looking and going, yeah, well played, brilliant. He's forward thinking, he's turning the players inside out. He looks really comfortable on the ball. I think it's very apparent that most of the good stuff we've done has really originated down that left-hand side, and he's a big part of it. So that's why this protest is taking place, and it could have been avoided.
No, you're right. And by the way, see when like a casual observer from the outside looking in, Chris, can see just how simplistic this should have been.
Yeah.
The fact that Tunetke, right, second performance, absolutely tearing it up. Yeah, we're playing Partick Thistle last week, was Commander. It was Kyra Almaty. You're not telling me he wouldn't have created at least one goal scoring opportunity over 210 minutes. The only people, and Michael Stewart's quite right, like him or not, he says the only people that can't see this is the Celtic board. And I think he's right with that. Really enjoyed that first half. Let's get some of the comments in before we look at the goals and a couple of assists actually from Nigren. There was a comment, I wanted to bring it up actually, but we ran out of time in the pre-match. It was Barry McCluskey, a long-time viewer, commenter on the shows and on the Facebook page as well, which is growing rapidly. And he said that a wee bit of the Nigren shine had been taken off over the last couple of games. But I think in that first half, Sean, Nigren has been involved right and left. I know that he takes the corners and all this kind of stuff, and one of them probably the wind blew it out of play. But he's got 2 assists, and I think he's had a very good first half.
You've been very kind to him in that corner there. That was a bit of a stinker.
Was it a shame? I was feeling positive. I was feeling positive.
It was more that he put his hands up to indicate that he was going to back post it, and then it kind of sailed. It didn't even hit it with any pace. It just floated onto the roof of the net. But no, he did finish the half with 2
into that mound of just grass. What do they call that? There's one at Capello as well these days where the stand has somehow been removed. I don't know what it's called, but it's bizarre. A big open space of grass instead of having a stand. Bizarre.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Nigren has played well. He got 2 assists. Two quality assists as well, particularly the one for Yang. I think a lot of the credit for the scale setter has to go to Scales, to be honest. That's as they were saying on the commentary, he's so far past the goals. Like, the defenders every right to think he's not a threat from there. The defenders tracked him. It's a long run, and the keeper should be doing better as well, to be fair. But it's a real quality ball because you have to have pace on the ball to be able to do that with your head. But I still think most of the credit goes to Scales. But yeah, the first goal was didn't Yang score one just like that last year? It was against Dundee. I can't remember. And then Yang doesn't celebrate. The fans don't cheer. Nobody even knows it's a goal. It looks like he's headed it into the side netting, and I'm sitting there like, oh my god, how the hell, Yang? How did you miss that? And,
I think they put the mics down on the Celtic fans, Sean. Because there was that moment where it was like, is it in? Has it hit the side netting? Because there was no real celebration, and you couldn't hear the fans. I'm wondering if the mics have been switched in.
It was definitely a weird one. I honestly wasn't celebrating myself, and it wasn't until Callum McGregor went and started celebrating with him. I'm like, "Oh, hey, let's go! Yes, come on!" But yeah, that's to be fair, well played to Yang. He's scored a few headers, in the last year and a half now, and that's he's not done much else, to be fair. Everything's going in. I don't know if that's because he's playing poorly. I can only think of one occasion really where he lost possession. I think it's just more that everything's channeling down the left rather than Yang's playing poorly. But he did get on the end of that one, and so I'm happy. I'm happy with how we've played broadly, and as you mentioned, Nigren and generally good. The only one I've not touched on yet is Ian Nacho. I believe the Twitter name going around for him these days is Nacho Provo, which I really like. I don't know who came up with that one, but it's lots of credit. I wish I could directly credit whoever it was, but it's
they should have done that on the strip last week rather than whatever was on the back of his shirt last week. Absolutely. Now I've got to bring this up. I mean, I've been critical of Yang. I don't think that in his first 2 seasons at Celtic he did enough for me as a fan. And when I heard he was leaving there in the transfer window, I thought it was the right move at that time. And one person who has disagreed with me throughout, certainly the last 18 months, is our pal, Big Ewan Martin. And he comes in to say, my boy Yang showing he is not as bad as I think and as others think. And before the game, Ewan, what we did say is, he's in a very difficult situation whereby we really only have 2 right wingers. We've tried Nigren out there, he wasn't as good out there, was he? We've tried Balakwish out there, albeit only 1 game, he didn't really play that well. So we're running with Yang and Forrest at the moment. out and the right. And we even spoke about we don't have somebody coming through the academy who you could do a Donovan with. And I think Donovan's had a good first half as well. So Yang's thrown in today, Chris. And we did speak about the difficulty that he's facing. They touched on the commentary team touched on the difficulty of Maeda clearing out his locker and basically getting told, you're here for at least another few months, up until January. Fair play, Yang. Like Sean says, I think only one moment in that first half, it didn't kind of come off for him. Most of the plays gone down the left, he gets the goal and created a few chances as well. I've got a few notes here. I think he's had a good first half. And all credit to the player because he's having to kind of like tune back into this frequency, right? I need to knuckle down here. I might be the first choice right winger for the next few months. He played well.
It's like I said at the start of the pre-match, take your opportunity, and he has. I think I agree with Sean. I think we're not seeing as much of him because a lot of our play has gone down that left-hand side. But what he did do is he positioned himself to be on the receiving end of some of that play that came down the left-hand side. He was the right man, right place, right time. And listen, put the ball in the net. I noticed actually a couple of the good things he did in that first half is when he actually came inside. He came looking for the ball, which I liked. I mean, that's from an attitude perspective, that's good. If you're not imposing yourself on the game, go and find a way to do that. So I thought actually he's a pretty decent first half. And look, we've said throughout his time at Celtic that we see the potential of the player there, but what we don't see it on a consistent week-to-week basis, and that's the real challenge at this club. Is you can't just do it against Partick Thistle in a cup game. You've got to do it every single game, irrespective of the opposition. You've got to try and show that you can cement your place in the side. So look, he's off to the right start. He's doing the right things today. Good opportunity for him today, I think, potentially to go and have a decent second half before inevitably changes are made. But yeah, I've got very little I could criticise him for today. I think he's been good.
It is Partick Thistle. They are a championship club and all that, Chris. But this is a great opportunity for Yang. Just the way the cards have been dealt. This, we've got the European game midweek, as we spoke about before the game. Yep. There's an opportunity here for him to claim that jersey on the right wing. Big shout out not only to you and Boy Martin, but to Paddy Lavery. You might see over my head there. Apparently, the 4 heats. There's only 3 of us though. Just to the left of my 4 heat, we have a great wee gift that was presented to us, Chris, when we went over to Belfast recently to see Paddy and the Crumlin Star lads. Big shout out to Jim, Danny and Gerard. You make pals, don't you, when you go to Celtic events like this? You make pals, and hopefully we will see you guys in 2026 as well.
They felt like meeting family when we went over there. We were treated so well, I have to say. Guys were superb.
It was outstanding, Chris. Robbo, why did Yang celebrate? I don't think he does generally. I'm not going to read too much into it. I don't think he generally goes bonkers when he scores. CJ says Hatate and KT looking better. I've been liking the link-up play down the left wing between Kieran Tierney and Tunetke, Sean. It looks as though there's a good partnership developing up that left side of the park as well.
Yeah, and Negron was heavily involved, and it was very much the 3 of them. And they weren't doing anything like wild. Do you know what I mean? It was just
get it up the left, overlap.
Simple quality football, like good weighted passing, good first touch, and the game just opens up for you when you can get good touch, good movement, good passing, and it's just simple. They're doing it well. They're doing it really well, but this what they're doing is simple, just executed at a high level.
No, you're right. And Jungle Lion, if anybody's wondering what the Ultras have been singing in that first half, a great airing recently of The Dying Rebel, and we had young Paddy Mullane come through to play his first ever gig outside of Ireland, and he came to Gracie's and he did our Charlie Mulgrew gig. I think that was back in September time. Young boy, 16 years of age, and what a rendition of The Dying Rebel he does. So seek him out if you've not seen it already. It went a bit viral earlier on. I'm just keeping an eye on the park. I think the teams are back out, aren't they, for the second half? Right, so things are looking good for Celtic in the first half. Thanks, everybody, for getting involved. 1,300 plus strong on the half-time stream. We'll be back at full time, so join us then on a Celtic State of Mind.
Come on, Oops.